20 years ago today, we didn't even know that 9/11 would blow our minds and break our hearts.
It impacted each of us in different ways. To capture that impact, we invited a group of Minnesota strangers to come together to open up about how they personally experienced the aftermath firsthand. Some sharing their stories publicly for the very first time.
Remember, I was walking down to the school of business to attend a class, and that's when the first plane hit.
I had a very strange feeling. I called home and asked my husband, is there something going on? And he called back right away. I was in the jetway, and he said, they just hit the second tower.
I tried calling family and friends and could not get through at all.
And this nightmare was real. I mean, the towers really had collapsed and the Pentagon really was on fire.
I was in front of the TV and I could see what's going on. I said, I'm going to work.
Hundreds of miles away from the Big Apple and the nation's capital, these Minnesota strangers are meeting for the first time. A military commander, medical examiner, flight attendant, firefighter, educator, and mental health professional. Each here reflecting on September 11th, 2001.
I don't think there was anyone that was prepared that day for the task that was at hand.
In 2001, Brooklyn Park Fire Chief John Cunningham was a college student and volunteer firefighter in Connecticut. He traveled to New York to help search for survivors at the World Trade Center.
New York City is always hustling and bustling, that you can hardly hear yourself think. And I just vividly remember the silence. There wasn't hardly anything that I resembled other than bits and pieces of these towering skyscrapers that now were reduced to rubble in front of me. And I knew in that rubble there were people. And we had to do whatever we could.
You know, as a scientist and a physician, you know going into an operation like this that perfection's not going to be possible.
Dr. Andrew Baker is Hennepin County's medical examiner, but in 2001, he was a member of the U.S. Air Force called to help identify the victims killed when American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon. Though he and his team were able to bring some closure to 184 families.
It still bothers me that we couldn't identify those 5 individuals, and I know one of those individuals was the 3-year-old who was on board Flight 77.
A father himself, the weight of the work was real.
Of the 8 children that were killed on 9/11, 5 of them were on board American Airlines Flight 77. And at some point, all 5 of their remains had to have passed through my hands during the operation, and I think about those 5 kids every day. They would be in their 20s or early 30s now.
We had been preparing for that kind of a mission for most of our careers.
Retired Brigadier General Tim Cosalter served as a commander of the 148th Fighter Wing based in Duluth. Within hours of an overnight training session,
My wife said an airplane flew into the Twin Towers.
His unit received orders.
The president's airplane was heading towards the Midwest, and so we launched 2 airplanes to intercept that airplane. Fortunately, a couple other airplanes had got to him before we did, and then took him to Washington.
We were on the flight, 757 heading for San Francisco, and we always, as flight attendants, you have to be on the plane an hour before departure. And nothing was happening. I mean, we were getting later and later, and the agents weren't saying anything. We had no pilot.
Flight attendant Cassie Reitz was scheduled to leave Minneapolis at 9:30 in the morning when she learned the news.
We gathered our things, got off the plane, got into the gate area, and it was just chaotic. I mean, everything said cancel, cancel, canceled. All the TVs are off.
Someone in the office said that a plane went into the tower. And I said to myself, oh, there you go again, thinking you know everything. No way a plane could have.
Dr. Stanley Brown is from Harlem, New York, and a longtime educator in the Twin Cities. He was working in downtown Minneapolis on September 11th.
It was a few hours, if not days, that I could not get in touch with family and friends.
Dr. Joshua Zimmerman is a psychiatrist with Health Partners. When asked what people should take away from this conversation, he shared this.
Be kind, don't judge people for what they're doing or how they're acting. Don't be afraid to ask people how they're doing and really listen when they answer.
It took many years before I could talk about it at all.
I didn't realize the impact that day had on me, the emotional toll, until several years later.
And I think what's so impactful about the story, when we talk about September 11th, we talk a lot about how people came together, but we don't often talk a lot about how those people who came together are emotionally dealing with the impact of what they experienced that day. And so Dr. Baker, as well as Chief Cunningham, hopefully if you'll take a moment to watch the extended special, really talk about the emotional impact that September 11th had on their lives moving forward. And they didn't even realize sometimes just how much not dealing with those feelings really affected how they showed up in the world.
Yeah, you should take a chance to watch it. Shayla and I have been talking about it a good bit. It's a much longer version that you can see on CBSN, but especially Dr. Baker, the one who was talking about the remains of the children on that flight, and just the emotion that he has, and doesn't speak out about it very much. So,
and very important message to remember. The health professional there did address, you know, assume everybody has some level of trauma when you're meeting them at hello, and be kind to people. That was a very important message that he shared, because you really don't know what the person sitting next to you might be dealing with or working through.
for sure. So be sure to watch Shayla's extended interview. We'll air it later this morning on CBSN Minnesota. Also this afternoon and later this evening. You can hear more of their reflections 20 years later. Starts at 11 a.m.